talked to him.
Has to close.
And, said, hey, we're at 3 o'clock today, if you want to talk, because
That stuff was
if
like
you've seen the
$500-600
agenda,
a ton
I want
last
to
year.
purchase on it.
This year it's $18
And then
a ton.
someone to ask, or
And
Ray's going to
hydrogen.
ask about the
question is-
contract
Big white tanks.
negotiation, which we've
Yeah.
heard from their lawyer.
Things have
We agreed to
exploded.
the Tanglewood deal, but we're, we get it. MSU's got to give us a reason not to build a plant. As of right now, we're just moving forward on both.
My daggone phone, she couldn't find my.
If they wouldn't put that on corner, it'd be a real
Let's just
pale
keep it
yellow
straight.
and look really bad.
But all the cards are on the table, and let's go. And if they want to go back into negotiations, we keep moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
They want to give us some business, I'll say, let's put the committee back together, me and you.
They already are.
You got actual numbers? Give us a reason to go back and say, hey, guys,
I
we might
keep
want
on
to think
hearing
this over,
food
or
shortages. I
that ain't
don't know
gonna
what's
work. We
gonna
can do it for
happen there.
this, so why should we stop?
They say
No, I
beef's
still-
gonna go
that
up.
disrupts me.
Well, there's
$12 million
two. Well,
building.
okay, so there's 10.
Trust me, I know. I was watching those pictures like, I kept thinking the whole.
Did you go to it?
No, because
told my
How
husband
scary.
I said,
simple
"Well,
things will go,
It really
build
is.
it, and to me, it looks like I might have been
Because
sarcastic.
Ukraine was a
So
big
this will at least give you something to
exporter.
look
I'm
at,
doing
and
this
then
because
right
I'm
before
upset.
They're not the
we
largest.
charge
Us, and you're doing this, and I was like, nah, I'll wait
Somebody's
until
making a
we cut our
difference.
own ribbon, and I'll stand in front of
That
that.
just,
So,
Just couldn't make myself.
just has their contact info, so you
I agree. It wasn't worth it. I even called Jason
Well, it
right
comes
before. I said,
from
have you heard from anybody? He goes, no,
Russia,
it went silent. I said, then let's just stay away from it.
Just wasn't gonna go.
A lot of it overseas. But,
I figured of all people, he
I think
would.
they can get potash out of Florida,
anything.
so maybe they're starting
Thanks for the
to,
vote of
trying to
confidence.
make up some difference.
The dedication.
A lot.
How you doing?
Good.
It's a
Everything
joke.
good?
None of us
I was
want.
gonna
Problem,
say,
questions,
give
or
me a
concern?
break.
No, we didn't go.
Not about here.
I see Teresa and them didn't have no issue,
Saw
but
that
they're
article
not
in
up
the
against
paper
anybody. I
yesterday.
mean, they're in now, aren't they, unless they caucus somebody in by the end of June?
Oh, about
I don't know,
the
is
old
anybody running the
administrator?
office?
Yeah, only got
Democrats,
it
I don't
for
think
3
anybody, there
grand,
wasn't a
but she's
Democrat
cost
trustee or a
$1.2 million.
Democrat to the advisory board, a
I
single
didn't.
person. So you had 3 on the Republicans
Time
plus the
and-
trustee.
Who you know?
If no one signs up by the end of
I
June,
can't believe
that's
it
who
was only
it's
that
gonna
much money
be.
when she had a vehicle. and
How
all
come they
those kinds
don't have anybody,
of things.
half their things are not doing anything?
That's the paperwork I seen last night. So it would mean she would go straight, it would be over. On July 1, it's done. They can't do anything after the last day in June.
Was you at Knights of Columbus?
No, I was not there. I was with James. He was at the police
That
station.
reimbursement for 3,000 wasn't mine.
Oh, he had his own
Him
little
and
deal?
Albert, yeah, I had a little deal down there. So I
Slacking
went down
off,
there.
Ray?
How's he doing after the?
Butt whipping.
Oh my God, Pete.
I don't candy.
Oh, really?
I don't candy coat. Oh God, we are after 3 and Pete's late. Lord have mercy, I apologize.
We were late to start for a minute.
We haven't started yet, have we, or have we?
Just so we're all aware.
You're
There's some comments on there I didn't
Hey,
need to
mine
be on
does too,
there.
actually.
Okay.
Let me put my phone away.
Yeah, no, everybody, I guess get ready. Y'all tell me y'all ready and I'll let him turn loose and we'll get going. You good? Good?
I want to find a pen. Yeah.
We'll wait on Joe. Hang on
I'm
here.
just trying to find. Go.
Let her find her pen.
Go ahead.
Penny, you never heard from Brenda?
And you know what? I don't have one. I'm glad you did that. Thank you.
I was lucky to get this one today. I've been down one all day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm good.
Go.
I'm in.
All right, we'll call the meeting of the Delaware County Regional Wastewater Meeting, May 4th, to order. Penny, will you take the roll, please?
Pete.
Here.
Mike.
Here.
Joe.
Present.
Bill.
Yes.
Ron.
Here.
You've all had a chance to see the minutes of the previous meeting, April 6, 2022?
Yes.
If so, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Are there any changes or discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Treasurer's report.
Claims from March 31st, 2022 through April 29, 2022, total $269,039.76. Account balances as of April 27, 2022. Cash operating balance $420,000. Improvement fund balance $1,700,247.74. And again, recording due to State Board of Accounts requirements, the Daleville TIF transfer of $9,411 for April of 2022. I would move to approve the claims for March 31 through April 29, 2022.
I'll second.
I have a first and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Old business, small claims.
Oh, that's me. It's technically Stephanie, but I'll do it. So she looked into the address for the Beck Street property. The gentleman lives in Florida, appears to own his own home. The gal lives in a long-term hotel in Oregon, has been in and out of legal trouble. So the recommendation we are going to give is maybe we send a letter, see if by chance he sends in the money. Otherwise, with him being out of state and having to domesticate a judgment, if we get one, the claim is $1,009.18. I'm not sure that that's feasible once you're dealing with the out-of-state issues, or even if he was in state. You know, it's kind of on that borderline. But I think if the board wants to go ahead and send a letter, if no information comes in within the next month, then maybe this is something we have to look at writing off.
Make a motion that we send him a letter.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carry. Send a letter, and then we'll report back next meeting, let the board make a decision.
Okay.
All right. You're still up. IMI land purchase?
Okay, on the IMI property, I don't want to say an issue that we have run into, but the conversations that we have been having the last 6 weeks or so, when we were talking with IMI doing these community meetings, they were aware roughly of how much an acre the Whitestone property had appraised for. I did not pay a lot of attention to the price per acre or the time difference so much as I knew what the average of the two appraisals were for them, the average for Whitestone. They were really offended how much it had gone down. I can't say that I necessarily blame them because I don't know what the difference was. The properties butt up to each other and it was not that many months in between. So they had asked for more money closer to the amount that the Whitestone Trust had appraised for. Obviously, that's not their property, but there is no difference. It's just farm ground. There were no structures. You know, I don't know what the rhyme or reason is. So we have been negotiating, and I have got them down to $73,772, which is in between. It's essentially the average of the Whitestone appraisals and then the IMI appraisals averaged. So it's an average of 4 appraisals instead of the 2. They have finally come around to that number and are agreeable. If we want to go into litigation to press this $20,000 that they want, we're going to spend well over that $10,000 extra to do that. The statute allows for us to factor in litigation costs. So my recommendation is that the board go ahead and accept the $73,772. That's one piece of the puzzle. And if you want to have discussion on that part, and then I can talk about the final part that I'm dealing with on it. Or do you want me to just get it all and then?
No, we can talk. Let's go there first. Let's stick with the price.
Okay.
The price was there, and when Danielle showed me the two going back and forth, it was the legal. I told her to proceed in this manner. I mean, by the time you went going back and forth, the appraisal cost, we'd have been well above the $10,000. This is about saving dollars that we can operate with. I felt it was in the best judgment to move forward in there. So I would look for a favorable recommendation on the $73,772 at this
What
point.
was the average per acre?
It's
Forget.
almost exactly 10,000. Oh, per acre? Shoot, I didn't bring them.
I can't remember.
I don't know that
God,
I could.
it's
I
just-
have done so
you go
many
through
numbers
4 of
with
them, the
this.
numbers are
Ballpark, just
different.
Ballpark. What are you? 10,000?
8. I want to say.
I was gonna say
8.
8,000.
I want to say 8.
8,000. Came in at
All
64,
farmland sells
67,
for
something like that.
10,000 now.
Yes, and that was that was the IMI piece.
So see, there's
yeah.
another justification, and it wasn't. It's like, this isn't, let's go ahead.
Right.
And understand in this, and the whole deal in this, if, as we go in with the other the negotiations, if we don't use this property, whatever we buy it for, it will be, they will repurchase it off of us for the same price.
Right.
Well, your problem is you're not going to have very much to sell.
Exactly.
That's the. You know, if you got 50 acres, you got a lot better chance of selling than if you got 5. How many acres?
5.
5.
5. But with this being
But
right
they're
now,
willing to buy it
they're
back
willing to
from
buy it
us.
Well,
rather
there
than
you
say,
go.
because it's right next to there, they don't want it to go to anybody else but us.
There you
So
go.
it's a no-win, no-lose situation for us,
Exactly.
no matter what. We're not gonna make money on it, but we are not going to lose money on it as well.
Exactly.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion, or?
Is there more on that
One more
particular-
piece, but I figured if you wanted to deal with if I have authority to,
Let's go ahead, no, let's go, he's like, let's go ahead and put it all together, then we put one motion together, that's fine, Or,
you want me to do the next part?
go ahead.
So the last thing we are going back and forth on, and their counsel allowed me to talk to Doug. Once he got an attorney, I'm not allowed to speak with him directly. Doug was calling me, so I reached out to him and said, your client's calling, I can't call him back. Would you like to discuss it? And he said, no, call Doug. Doug pretty much does, it's his deal. So Doug and I talked. The paragraph that they put in that I have an issue with, there is one sentence that says, if they were to ever do anything with their adjacent land for their blasting, digging, anything to be associated with their regular business for Irving, IMI, whatever you want to call them, that we would never and can never object or take any opposition to what they want to do on their land. And I said, there's not an attorney in this world that could agree to something like that. I said, I am happy to say that we will not do so unless it has a negative impact, potential or guaranteed negative impact on our operation or maintenance of our plant. So if something were to affect our ability to run our plant, to maintain it, start messing with anything, the soil, the electrical, the pumps, whatever it may be, we can't in good faith say that we would never object to that. Doug was absolutely fine with that. His attorney was not as fine with that. And I said, well, then I think we need to get a 3-way call going because somewhere there's some breakdown between you and your client, not me. So I have revised my sentence to say the same thing, just added more language. And I've got that to send back to them today. I finished it just before lunch. So we're down to one sentence, essentially. Everything else is agreeable language, in my opinion.
So just so I'm clear and we're clarifying, if they would go in and start digging or blasting, which is an opportunity that they may have, it's gonna impact a tank that we have in the ground. We absolutely have a right to.
Have to
object.
remonstrate.
Yeah, we have to remonstrate.
Exactly.
We have to be able to
But
stop.
if they're just doing their normal operation and it's not gonna affect us.
Correct.
I mean, yeah, I don't have any problem
Now,
with that.
they have told us and I think regulations prevent them from blasting that close to the highway. It probably is not a situation that's ever going to come to fruition, which is what their attorney's position was. And I reminded him, nothing attorneys put in contracts usually comes to fruition for the most part. So we'd both be out of a job if we were only talking about stuff that is going to happen, which I don't think he took too kindly to that, but it's the truth. I mean, we're supposed to be thinking 10 steps ahead and making sure I'm not signing you guys up for something that we can't follow through on in the future. I really think we will be fine. I just think he needs to settle down. So we're one sentence away from the whole contract being agreeable, in my opinion.
So if we were going to pass resolution 2022-02, which is what you're asking us to do, correct?
I will, and I was gonna get to those, but the way I did the IMI, well, they both say the same language. So in number 4, so these I just drafted today, which is why you didn't get them ahead of time, but they're really very basic. We do these to go along with the purchase of real estate, so there's one for Farm Bureau, there's one for IMI. What we put in here is that you agree to the purchase agreement in substantially the same form as the one attached here to as Exhibit A. That's number 4. So once we tweak that final sentence and attach it as an Exhibit A, that it's fine. So this could be passed now. Exhibit A will be finalized, and we'll just reference the motion in that sense that, once agreeable language is agreed to, it'll be attached as Exhibit A, resolution is passed. You can also wait till next month on the IMI resolution, but the language in the resolution won't change. It's just the purchase agreement that'll be attached.
I'd like to read Exhibit A, not that
Yeah.
I'm trying to slow things down.
Nope, that's fine.
But I think that, I think because it's a purchase agreement, I think we should.
Well,
So-
and I just wanted to get you these now. I assumed on 2022-02 that you probably would want to wait. This one is as I sent out,
The-
so.
Right,
Yeah,
the original one.
the first
Okay.
one, yeah.
So do you just need from us, do you just need voice concurrence that we're good with the amount? Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah.
And do you need that in the form of a motion, or
I
you just,
do.
you just need to hear somebody from an
I
objection?
do need that in the form of a motion.
I
please.
will give that to you in the form of the motion of, I would approve the $73,722.
72.
72, excuse me, I didn't have my glasses on there in my hand. They look better in my hand than on my face. For the purchase of the IMI property.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Ray, did you have something else to say? Okay, I have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, now, that is, do we move to resolution 2201? Or to both?
Whatever order you want me to go in. If you want to do that since it goes with it, we can.
Well, yes, I mean, I guess that's where we want to go. And that what you want to do, Pete?
Yeah,
Is
so
it the idea, you want to go to 2201, hang
Yeah,
on to
if-
2202 until we see the purchase agreement?
Actually, I think I said those backwards. So.
I think you did too, 'cause
01
that's
is
why I was
Farm Bureau.
clarifying
The
with
one
him.
he
Sorry.
just
01
approved
is
of.
Farm Bureau.
Right, and that's the one that
2
you sent
is
out
IMI.
their exhibit already, and
Yes.
and we've had the opportunity.
22 is what we're going to wait on until we see the purchase agreement, correct? There you go.
I just
Okay.
said the numbers backwards. Just so you
Okay,
know.
problem.
so I would make the motion to approve resolution number 2022-01, a resolution to purchase real estate, and specifically, this real estate is commonly identified as 6100 North State Road, 67, Muncie, Indiana.
Make a second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I wanted to clarify in this is the part, the Farm Bureau building, which is we're tying in with the overall SRF, and that decision won't be made until the final of that. Am I correct in what I just said there, Thomas? That's what,
Oh, and you, I think, had said to Stephanie, you wanted me to remind everyone, or somebody did, that, maybe Jason, whatever we end up doing with the Farm Bureau land, even if we paid for that now with the funds that are currently sitting in your accounts, at the end of the day, when we complete financing, that will be tied into the financing. So if for some reason they said, which they haven't, they've given us ample opportunity to close, so
I said in 2023, we got plenty of time.
it is a moot point probably in this one, but if something were to come up, that can be cycled back around and tied on to the end, so whatever happens now would be reimbursed essentially to that account when we're done.
Any other questions or discussion? I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. What? I sent that one to go side. So then we'll hold on resolution 2202 until purchasing, we'll do that in next meeting.
Okay, do you want to table it?
Huh?
You want to table it?
We need a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and a second to table. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion table. Okay. Moving on. Ray, I wanted to address a question, and that was, I talked to you earlier. I'm just going in this right behind the purchase. The board members, that you should have seen, we did get a request back from MSD on information as far as the negotiation. That was to let us put the flow meter on Tanglewood to get some numbers off of that. We agreed to that, and that letter was sent off, and we're waiting for a reply. Do I have that correct at this point?
Yes, and that was one of the things I was going to update everyone. Jason had a company that he would have preferred seeing them do the metering with. We wanted the metering to go both ways so that we could monitor the same as they could while it's temporarily in place. I sent all of that off that day when we talked to Jason about it, and I have heard nothing from MSD. Nothing to confirm that they've done it, nothing in response to the company. So if somebody else has heard something and they haven't
I have
responded
not.
to
Like I
my,
said, I was in their monthly meeting today representing a different organization, so, but none of this was brought up or nothing was discussed in that meeting at the time. I say, as this board has discussed, we keep both trains running on the same, down the same track, and MSD gives us a reason not to move forward, and we'll have that to discuss. If not, the plant's moving forward. Any discussion or any other comments?
Plan.
We'll move on. New business, New Era technology quote.
I sent this out in Penny sent it out in the monthly board packet. It is to upgrade the uplinks to 20 lift stations. We had a couple that was hit and miss during COVID when they're New Era, which used to be not Sonatrol, Esco, Maxitrol. It's now New Era technology. They've serviced probably 90% of our lift stations, all the alarms in them. During COVID and the beginning of that, we kind of hit and miss when they could get in there and do something. They've done 4 of them, and finally, they sent out another quote for 4 more. I told them just to give me a quote for all the 20 that are remaining, and that way I could see where that is. And it came in at $5,760 to get all new 20, and that's going from 3 and 4G up to 5G now. Just
All
out-
about the G's.
all about the G's. So it's going to have to be done one way or another, just because of the outdated uplinks. And
Where are we taking it from?
we are taking that from lift station monitoring, professional services, and the line item budget.
You have plenty in there?
Yeah, we have like 25,000 in there currently. We've only spent about $1,000 this year on it.
I think Jason needs to have all the G's he can get, so I would move to approve.
Yeah.
What was the total on it?
$5,760.
I have a motion,
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any discussion?
When do they start doing it?
It is really, they're extremely short-staffed right now, and it's a matter of just when they can get in. Only thing I've requested is during normal business hours, when we can get a technician, is when we can get them.
I get you a shirt that says we're upgrading to 5G. I demand one, just saying.
Any other discussion?
Well, you're an antique, you ought to ask for one for 3G, because it's outdated.
Lord have mercy. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Westbrook Project monthly disbursement request.
We only have one for Commonwealth this month for $3,926. Atlas did not submit one. Really haven't been on site much because we're waiting on a kind of a group meeting with Commonwealth, Atlas, ourselves, MSD, and possibly some DNR officials to make sure that we're all kosher on our ground restorations and how much dirt's actually getting removed from the creek area around there. So we are we were originally set to meet this Friday with them and get that all squared away. MSD ended up having to cancel on us Friday, but the hope is to get in there probably Tuesday with everybody. And
Stormwater coordinator, is that Courtney?
she'll be off at training. So the hope's to get in there Tuesday, get everybody on the same page, and get Atlas back to where they're removing the amount of dirt desired by DNR and also the stormwater coordinator. So that's the reason we only have Commonwealth this month, and that is for $3,926. I'm looking for approval of that.
I move to approve Commonwealth bill of $3,926.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Jason, hold up, Jason.
So has there been a decrease in the amount of liquid that's been shipped to Yorktown now?
Inlet water. Have you seen
That
it?
is one thing that it's. I'll tell you this: we haven't had a CSO event
That's where it
from
came above ground, got in the creek?
Yep.
Yes. So from my aspect, that's very positive. The part that's hard to say, and until we get some put some post construction flow metering done, that area that was that was meant to be monitored to really tell us a true number prior to construction. One of the issue was that pipe was so small, and we kind of hit on this in previous board, it was always underwater, so they never got true accurate readings. By the way that pipe was coming out of there and the issues that we saw, I would say tremendous infiltration is being taken out of the system. I just can't put my finger on a number.
Last month, we talked about flow meter. Has that been done yet?
That, so they're, and we also spoke about some of the excess funds that we have left in contingency, getting some other work done. And that is one thing that's gonna be done post-construction along with the new flow meter and everything. We should have prices on those. It probably would have been this board meeting, but Rob was still had to give them once over, but once I get those prices, if it's not, I'll send those out as soon as I get them to you guys. We just won't be able to take action on until next board meeting, but the flow metering is gonna be done, where we're gonna see a number that we can actually relate pre-construction to where we're at now is on the north side of Westbrook where we did inlining. I mean, we're gonna have two numbers that we can actually relate to each other and see if we got a bang for our buck over there.
I'll be a lot happier.
I sleep a lot better. We got New Era technology. Let's see. Another thing is, and I think we spoke about it in the meeting last month about Yorktown. We're meeting with Torek, our control guys, on the 11th. That was the earliest we could get them in, to look at ways we can kind of help mitigate some peaks at the Yorktown plant. We're sending them the same amount of flow. They're getting peaks by the way they're getting our flow, and we've done some steps to decrease them, but Rob wants to make sure that everybody's on the same page, so our hope is on the 11th we're bringing Yorktown's wastewater treatment plant guys in, our control guys that installed the new pumps at 600 and everything, and make sure that it's all kosher, a good situation for everybody. And collections last month, we were sitting at $2,540.77. As of today, we're at $1,900.23 delinquent amounts across the entire collection area. And I think that is all I have for you guys.
Any questions? The attorney.
Okay. There was a meeting that took place, I wasn't able to attend last week, but we got an update from Commonwealth on a few things related to our anti-DAG. One part of that I want to discuss first, we are dealing with the content that MSD is able to access that we are filing with IDEM. So we sent this information. Brady had a conversation with Amy Romig, our environmental attorney. She wants to do 3 things, which I think Bill had told her to go ahead because I'm not sure if it takes a motion to do this, but I want to make sure everybody's aware. She just emailed us and said the first thing she wants to do is find out about any updates to MSD's long-term control plan, their plan to stop directly charging sewage and rain events, since that is the main support for our environmental anti-DEG position. So she's going to look into that and gather some information. She is going to get us on the public notification list for any changes or updates, the same as they have done for anything related to us. So we'll get on their list, find out everything they're doing. She'll get direct access to that. And then depending on what she finds out based on that information, she's going to put together an access to public records request, if IDEM has relevant info, or a FOIA request if the EPA has the info, since they have to approve the long-term control plan, to see if she thinks there might be information about timing, et cetera, related to their long-term control plan. So she's going to kind of start gathering some information and put things together to put us in a better position for our anti-DEG and what we know, how to respond or what to say to IDEM to make sure we're covering any concerns they may have or questions they may throw at us in regards to MSD. So just so everybody's up to date on that. I made one comment. Ashley's going to talk about the spotted monkey and where she's at. The only comment I had to what she was doing is a lot of people don't know what CSO means. So somewhere in our pamphlet or whatever we send out, I think we just need to define that. Everything else I thought looked really great. We talked about the MSD. In regards to the anti-deg, it is my understanding, and Bill may have a little bit more information, that the final version should be submitted by the end of May.
That was my understanding
To
at our
IDEM.
meeting. It had been reviewed, some pieces were being changed and altered, and it will be submitted then. Then it will be followed up, I believe, at the same time with a new time frame as far as to the meetings timeline that they have to review and where the public hearings and that would come into place.
I saw correspondence too from Jen that very next day that she was already getting tasked with.
Brady had sent over, in that meeting, Brady needed some information because another one was other supply, other angles as far as Pump and Haul, the Eaton plant, why, and the reason why we're building this plant, the cost, where the cost savings is. So we're eliminating the questions before the questions are asked because the questions will be asked. If that makes any sense to you, that is exactly what we are doing, in my mind. So yes, that's where we're proceeding at this time, and I believe I give Jennifer the okay on that to move forward as well, because we're just still in process. It's still part of the overall picture from before, getting all the numbers together.
Okay, I passed out, just before I came over here, the Farm Bureau attorney did send me an update. He reached out to the board. The contract that I sent out, there were 4 words that I did not know what they were, why they were in there because nothing was discussed. They had said they wanted to use the boardroom, which we had already talked about and approved, but it said, and the adjacent storage space. So I emailed him. He wasn't actually sure. He sent me back this diagram of the facility. It looks like there's a little, it's bigger than a closet, I'd say, like a small little room. And in his email, he said they have some like banners and posters and just things associated with their board meetings. I don't get the impression from the email that there's much in there. The building's also big enough that I'm not sure that it would matter even if they did have a few different things in there because there's a ton of storage. But they would like to be able to just keep their meeting stuff in there since they don't actually have, if they're holding their meetings there, they don't have another place to put those. So with that information, I am fine, and I think we have a final version of a contract with Farm Bureau. It is the one with the language and the adjacent storage space. So I haven't even yet cleaner copy because we went ahead and added in our notice address and phone number and emails and all of that. So if everyone is okay with what I sent out, I think all the language is good, and I think we're ready to go ahead and approve the purchase agreement for Farm Bureau, and we just did the resolution that attaches to it, so.
How would the board like to proceed?
So moved.
I have a first. I hear a second.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. Open for discussion?
I got a
Yes, Mike.
question. What stays with the building? What goes when we get to the point that we actually decide that it's time, let's say, to move?
And as,
What do we get to keep? I buy a house, I get to keep the stove and refrigerator if you so decide to leave.
And I-
Furniture,
I was
fixtures.
wanting to make sure what you, I was waiting for you to finish
Mike,
here.
I will ask, I think part of why we don't know yet is because they are going to start looking for a smaller place somewhere in the central location of McGalliard, and I think some of it probably depends on how big the location is that they secure as to whether they can, take a boardroom table or whatnot. So I will start those discussions and ask them if they have any idea yet, and then we can kind of play that out as
I always took it
they.
that we were just getting the building. Anything above and beyond that would, I'd always looked at it as just a structure. That's what the price and the estimate was
That
on.
is, if they want to use the storage area and they're going to use the conference room, I would think all those tables, chairs, and that nice big monitor that was on the wall, that big screen TV, we should be able to utilize that as well when you move forward.
I
So
will send an
when
email.
Jason says, we need this piece, or we need that piece, or this pipe's bad, or that pipe's bad, we can put it up on the screen like they do over in Yorktown, where you can actually visually see
Way to go, Pete.
what everybody's talking about.
Let's not be blaming Yorktown for things that I
Well,
haven't done yet.
I was pretty impressed, you know.
Makes perfect sense. If they're
I
gonna
will
use the
definitely
boardroom, I mean, if we're gonna allow them
It's-
to, what are they gonna sit on the floor? I mean, because then they'd be storing their materials to have their their meetings.
We'll definitely ask. I'll send an email off and find out.
Okay.
And some of it, I'm sure we won't know till closer to that time, but I will specifically see if we've got any information on the boardroom area.
Well, that boardroom would be nice too. It's bigger than this room right here.
It is.
Pretty big.
And you have all the seating in there, you have all the tables. You could hold all your public meetings there without a problem.
Agreed.
And
Maybe, should we just have, at some point, should we have like a small committee set up that can go over and go, hey, if you're not moving X, we want it.
I think that's a great idea.
I'd move Mike's on that committee and Brenda, because she's not here. I gotta make sure I get
I
myself
think
off
that-
of it fast enough.
I'd second that.
Yeah,
I'd
see?
second that. Those two, real estate, Mike, yep, that works for me.
But I think it's a great point. I think Mike makes a great point. I mean, there's things in there that we obviously can utilize.
Yes.
Like the boardroom tables and everything else. And if they don't get the room in their new place to take some of the, I mean, a couple of desks and whatever else they may haul over, but we'd love to have the rest. So let's try and figure out if there's something that we can
Yep.
work together with that.
Well, I don't think Exhibit A is clear on it because they're stating repair of damage and they're referring to furniture, equipment, or other personal property located in the building, but it's not specific on.
Well, and I
What?
think the idea behind Exhibit A, that's just more standard language that we use. So if they were to damage something of ours in our facility, they have to pay for it or reimburse us for what they damaged. But Exhibit A is.
Well, it says for use of boardroom, and then later on in number 3, repair of damage, so that was why I had a question,
Yeah.
but it refers to property in that
It's
room.
referring to any property of ours that they damage, but I agree it could be, I'll get more detailed information on that.
I'm fine with leaving their tables and all there and using it, you know.
It'd be nice to use, I mean, they've got a
Nice
lot of
if it
stuff.
said
It's a gorgeous
they're
room.
expecting us to
And
have
with
a
as
table there,
few
though, for
people,
them.
Right.
as few agents as they anticipate transitioning over to this new facility, I can't imagine they are going to be able to take everything. I just,
they're downsizing.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, they're just going down to one agent in a building. So, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Since we're talking about this building, what are we gonna do to utilize the rest of the space? I mean, we're in a room right now that's
Every
probably
board
from.
member's gonna get their own office.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. And attorneys
Okay, good.
out there.
Has anything been thought about?
It's wide open. I mean,
that is
and I think
100%
the
up to you
initial
guys.
discussion, other than all the personnel out there, that there'd be room on the other side for drawings and other stuff. The guys could utilize that as the building. The plant would be out back, farther away. Instead of having your office right on top of it, it would be up there with the other staff, but on a separate side of the room. Or we could put them out in the field guys could build an office in the outbuilding by the plant, and the other half of that building could be white-walled and leased out as a revenue source
You
that
can put
came
it up
in
to bid for a
to
lease.
go. You could put it out to bid.
All right.
It'd be whatever this board decided to move forward with on that respect.
That's all good. So let's say that we're gonna lease out part of that building. What do we do with those funds? Do we have to have any certain language
It's
written?
become part of our revenue stream and it becomes part of our annual budget.
Mhm.
Don't have to do
I mean, there's some steps we have to take if we lease it out. We have to put it up to bid. I mean, once we decide that's what we want to do,
Legal steps.
We
have
will
to
get
take,
into
yeah,
that,
we
but
can-
as far as
nothing
the
prohibiting us
income-
from doing it. The income that goes into our general.
Right.
Okay.
Doesn't prevent anything.
drive
Just gives
rates
us
down
extra
for
funds to
everybody else.
operate with,
right.
make other decisions.
Couldn't go towards paying off bonds or anything like that.
You wanted to. It can go anywhere out of the general.
All right.
So you're asking us to vote on this one then, and then?
That was the motion. We had a first and a second, then we went to discussion over the purchase of the Farm Bureau building.
Do we amend the motion to set up the committee to go out and have that discussion, or do we still need to go with?
Well, I think what I would anticipate they would want to do, we can always add in that to the real estate purchase. We can always do a separate, simple agreement as to contents that we want to purchase from them if there's a significant amount. I would prefer to go ahead and get this in place, and we can do an addendum or something, or some other, small contract to purchase equipment.
So the motion and the second would be good as
I'd leave it
as
as
to.
is. And then you can
Alright.
create a committee after if you want, but.
Any other comments or discussion?
We need a roll call for this big purchase.
I'll ask for that. Let's do a roll call, please.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Going back to the committee.
They-
Yes.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, sorry.
Forgetting to say
Sorry.
it.
Move back up here.
All right. Going back to the committee to discuss, is that too, you want to move forward with that as stated?
I'll make the motion that Mike and Brenda be on a committee to look at possible purchase of FFP.
Why don't, I would
I'll
recommend.
second that.
I'd ask for an amendment to that either, I would think maybe Penny would be the one from the office to attend those meetings
That's
with that and go through with the stuff that's out there. She could be as part of the stuff that might be needed for the office instead of just the guys in the back.
Just
So I'd
remember-
say those three to be the committee.
You don't get your own office because all the board members get their own office.
I'm pretty sure everyone can have their own office.
Okay,
That's a terrible idea. She picks out the color and I gotta paint.
I like that idea.
so do we need a motion on, do we need a motion on it,
I don't-
just
I don't think we
president
need a
appoint a
motion.
committee?
I don't think you need a motion. to
That's just,
create
we
a-
appointed that committee and let's move forward
But
with
let's
that.
reflect, so we've got Brenda, Mike, Penny,
Correct.
right?
Does the committee get to agree or disagree?
I
or-
think majority,
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Be
don't
careful,
make us
Mike,
make
you
it a
haven't even had the
formal
first
motion, 'cause
meeting
I
yet.
will.
Be careful, easy now, ease into it. Okay, sorry, let's move forward. Do you have anything else?
oh yeah, hang on, let me separate. Had quite a bit today.
So wait a minute, what, and you got that, we gotta sign
And
this?
that's just you, and part of that resolution is just for you to be able to have authority to sign the real estate with secretary attesting. So that one doesn't have to be passed all the way around.
Okay,
There's two though, the
Sign that one.
exhibit and. the last
exhibit and the other?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we went over IMI. On the Dale Harker Center in Daleville, Stephanie has been working on this while I have been out. She sent another email, was that today or yesterday? Yesterday. Their attorney is just not responding. I don't think we're far from getting it figured out. It's just a matter of their attorney is really difficult to get anything out of. So,
Attorney.
yeah.
Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Danielle.
no, I didn't. It's kind of rude, actually, because I didn't say I was easy to get a hold of, but nonetheless, we'll deal with it as it is. So anyway, as soon as we hear from him, hopefully we get that rolling, and Stephanie will keep everyone up to date on that if I happen to not be in. Chesterfield, somehow between Andre, Riley, and Jennifer, no one created the exhibits related to the Chesterfield agreement. And today I was pretty frustrated and sent something to everyone and just said, the only thing that is clear here is that I did not create it, nor will I recreate it. So somebody find it, because it's just hundreds and hundreds of numbers that you guys are gonna pay me 3 hours to retype, and that's a waste of time. So I can't finish the Chesterfield because Andre and Jennifer cannot figure out who drafted the exhibit to the agreement. As soon as they do, I will fix it, and I only have to fix one number. That's the kicker in all this. But anyway, so that one's still pending. Did the resolutions. And this, just for information for the board, Jason and I were just talking today. As far as the first $150,000 that we got approved for the American Rescue Plan money, we were not quite sure how to formally get that money. Jason and I talked. I asked John today. He sent us the vendor forms. He did just respond to me. We still fill that out with Commonwealth's information and just let them know that we've already paid it, and then they will reimburse us for that 102 that has been paid. And so moving forward and for future ARP money, if we want to wait and do the request at the end of a project for the entire amount that we get apportioned, we can do that. If we want to send each monthly invoice, we can do that too. It's just the board preference. I'm sure, I guess you'd probably like to do it monthly just so that money's coming in and flowing a little bit better, and John said that's fine. So we now have those forms, and we'll make sure we, moving forward, get that done more timely. We've never had ARP money to deal with before, so none of us really thought to ask the question of when we send them off.
Little side note on that too, you want to pay attention to this May's meeting is the ARP resolution will go in front of the county council. So pay attention there. The projects are all back in, as we've discussed. So you just pay attention to the May meeting. That's where we'll know if we move forward on Oakville, Overlook, Salem, or Delaware project. So also Westbrook, the remaining balance of Westbrook to finish that is in there as well.
When's their next meeting?
Their meeting is the fourth Tuesday of the month, that last week in May.
Remaining balance for Rory.
For Roriton.
Yes, okay.
Yes, for Roriton. I said Westbrook, didn't I? I know, God, I hate, she started, this is her fault. She started it in the email. It had me all twisted up for 2 days. I kept trying to sort this, like, what is she talking about? Okay,
I am done.
you are done.
Are you sure?
I think so.
Ashley, Spotted Monkey, this is yours. I'm going to ask you to stand up with the mic and the camera. It's tough to pick up, so if you go to the podium. I know, just to give you, I know, I'm sorry. I'm going by the remote control guy. Don't go too far, Commonwealth. You're right behind her.
Okay. So in April, the postcards about who you are and what you are doing were sent out, and we actually heard from some people who did not know that we were involved in it. It was some men talking, and they received the postcards and actually really liked it. So I thought that was actually kind of ironic that they brought it up in their own men's Bible study about the postcards. So people are seeing them and noticing them. We have also completed a Westbrook postcard that you guys should have seen, kind of talking about that project. And then when that gets approved, that is something that will also be mailed out. We recently sent to Jason a flyer that is something that could be handed out at different meetings or to people who might have some questions about what it is that you're doing and what it is that MSD does as well. So that's where Danielle brought up the CSO. So if you have any changes on that, that was just the very first draft. Please let us know what those are. Also, this isn't in the April report because it just got completed, but Mark sent over the April board meeting. So you now have a YouTube channel, and that board meeting is on the channel. It's also on the homepage of your website where we will keep the most recent board meeting on that homepage. And then on your board meeting page that has the agendas and meeting notes, we will also include all of the past videos on that page as well. So you will be able to find the most recent board meeting on 2 spots on your website. It will also forever live on your YouTube channel, and they will be shared on social media. Also, just a reminder, if you are on Facebook and you have not liked the page, please be sure to like the page. We are also on Google, and I have shared some of those analytics in your report. So that map is driving people to call and get directions and driving people to your website. Do you have any questions for me?
Board?
I have a curiosity question. Have you had any these returned to you by mail from the
That would-
addresses?
Yes, we had like, probably 5 returned to us today, and what they were, it was renters where we had in care of on the bills. But other than that, no.
I mean, I was, in Delville, I got it, I mean, obviously, but then I talked to some other board members, I'm still active over there, and they got, so I mean, it got out. People, they were kind of surprised. I don't know if the board's ready for action on the Westbrook one. I think there's might be some tweaks there, but you've seen that one coming out behind. I like the way this is rolling out. I mean, there is some positives there. The handout, I believe Danielle was spot on the CSO. I think that's something we can use in certain formats. It's just good to have that information, where those CSO points are, what's going on, how much water has transfer. I mean, it brings a whole nother deal and say, well, we just have CSOs that pop up during heavy rains and there's raw sewage that goes there. This is gallons and what's been interfaced and interacted, and why the benefit for the plant that we're considering up there is of some importance, obviously. So.
On the one with the renters getting them that you said, are the actual people that are paying the bill, are they getting one also?
Yeah, so anytime we put in care of, I would say probably 50% of the time the landlords are still asking. So the ones I'm getting back, I'm putting back in the mail, addressing them, just putting back in the envelope.
I think that's a good idea. I think the people that are actually paying it need to
Get the bill.
have the
card.
justification for what's going on.
Yeah, so just the way that they, our print team picked our, we might see a couple more today, but generally they all went out in one lump sum, and we had a big 5 of them come back today. That the way that the software threw them the addresses, for some reason, if it was ever in care of a landlord, they picked that up and then we got sent back to us. But
I think it's great the renter gets them
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
so they can see what the landlord, why they're paying what they're paying for the sewage and everything, or.
yeah, we may have a handful of renters over in the Delaware area, but but majority of them are still the ones that are on the bill, and they're still getting out of normal. But I'd say probably less than 25 or 30 that we actually email landlord and renters.
Mhm.
So the renters are going to get it anyways.
Any negative feedback?
I haven't heard any,
As a
but
postcard or just in general?
Well, I think I know the answer
No,
to the second
no,
one. The
actually-
Like on
postcard.
social media
a very
or
vague
anything.
question.
Anything
Yeah,
No, I think they looked really nice and went out good, and I mean,
and I know, I mean, I'd copied you on a response to somebody
Yes.
that had asked some questions, so, which was not negative feedback, but I just, social media we've not had any social media
I think that's the nice thing is like,
fire up or anything.
it's such a weird situation that it's foreign to people outside of us that it just becomes so, we take it for granted because we know it and we deal with it every day. But
Right.
like even that conversation you had, it started to. There's probably a lot more out there that don't have that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think the guy was the one that Pete's talking about. A gentleman asked. He didn't understand the relationship of the Westbrook area and the Yorktown treatment
plant.
facility.
Mhm.
And so it definitely creates a great dialogue, and that gives them a chance to answer, not only us answer those questions, but that card also points them in like the direction of our board meetings and stuff. And
When are we looking, when are we anticipating the Westbrook project finished?
once
Completion.
it was supposed to be this month, and it's all dictated on weather. They are completely done with all pipe and everything. It's
Right,
a
it's
matter of just them
Landscape,
getting in
above
there.
ground work.
Yeah. If we get nice weather and we can get MSD and a game plan with how much dirt needs to be removed to restore back to them, I think that was originally something they were wanting us to answer, and I'm just not comfortable giving them an answer on how much dirt DNR is going to have them remove. So we're getting the correct people in that meeting and going to give them a goal, and I think they want to get out there sooner or later because they even made the comment, we don't want to remove equipment twice.
Right.
So I think once we get the weather to get them in there and do it again, and I'll say this, majority of the dirt is piled up in the middle of the job site anyways. Now, they've been raking dirt and pulling the entire time. It's just getting them the exact answer they want.
Well, my just on that, two things. One is, I guess, that we need to pay attention to email and the handout. Let's get the Westbrook one approved, but we agreed, I think we talked in the last meeting, we didn't want to let it loose until after the project was totally complete, landscaping was done, and then it goes out shortly after that, okay? So let's pay attention to the emails, and if there's any changes or not, let's get that back so we can get this wrapped up and be ready to go when this is there.
Fortunately, a good thing, I haven't heard nothing from homeowners that are, have a negative outlook or anything about the way it looks or anything right now. I think they realize that that area is definitely bound by the weather. So When we get nice weather, they're in there working.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
The owners of Lone Beach and 600 realize at some point they're gonna have to start mowing that.
I would say most of those houses on Lone Beach are glad they're not mowing that right now.
Any other questions?
Yeah, two more questions. So we talked about that we're seeing more to our website, more people come to our website. Is that an uptick that we've seen, or you're not?
I don't have the analytics to the back end of your website, but I have the analytics to the Google map that we set up. So basically when somebody, is Googling you, that's local, or they're putting in Muncie, that's when the little map pops up. So I do have those analytics, and I shared those in the report. And so we are able now to track who's going there and clicking the call button. And I think since we set it up, it's been over 200 phone calls that you've had. And I think around 50 to 60 different website clicks. It could be more, I don't have the report in front of me. But we are able to track those Google analytics as far as people searching you out. So before you had the map set up, they would have had to click on your website, or maybe look at some other different links to be able to try and find your number, or it could have been a number that just wasn't verified. But now we're able to track all of that.
And then second side, how is growth on Facebook or social media? And ultimately the reason I'm asking is because while I appreciate getting postcards in the mail, at some point I want to stop expending dollars on mailings.
Right, absolutely.
So is that going well? Is that
We aren't seeing a lot of growth on there, and
sexy?
yeah, it's a little difficult.
I'm speaking for me, not the rest of the board or Jason. So,
and it's hard. We've done
It gets
some
boring.
ads, but it's
good.
so hard because you are such a small targeted area that Facebook tells us that's not enough people in that area. So then we ultimately have to expand it to people that are not in your area. And so we did hear a few people, we were trying to target about the board meeting last month, and so it was going over Daleville and Westbrook. Well, so some people who Chesterfield butts right up to Daleville. So someone was like, I live in Chesterfield, why am I seeing this? Well, you're seeing it because we don't really have that choice. We can only do what Facebook will allow us to. So that's part of the limit, I think, for the growth, is because we aren't spending a lot on ads, because so much of it is going to be seen by people who don't understand why they are seeing it. But that is an issue, because I would love to see more people following us on Facebook. We are putting some of those exact same posts on your Google as well, so people who search should see some of those posts. But yes, it would be much better to have more people following us and sharing some of that content. That's why I do encourage any of you who are on Facebook to make sure you like it. We're inviting people to the board meeting, so sharing that on your own personal, and just letting people know that the page is available, and we're putting useful information out there.
Anybody else? Thank you, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas,
I don't have a lot to update from.
your turn.
I jump up, but I don't have a lot to update from. Rob was on the road today. He got called down to City of Madison to update them. So from our standpoint, we're waiting on Atlas to give their final numbers so that we can give our recommendations on the Westbrook project on the remaining funds. Yeah, and outside of that, I'll answer any questions from the board that I can.
Anybody?
Are there gonna be any funds left over after this is all said and done?
You talking
What's
Westbrook?
that?
For the Westbrook?
Westbrook.
Yeah, there will be funds. I'm not sure. Rob was crunching those numbers. He was talking with Jason, talking with Atlas to find out exactly what those numbers are going to be. And as soon as he knows which from our call that we had just before this meeting I think he has a pretty firm idea of what those numbers look like, and the board should expect to see those within the next
Jason,
couple days.
When you get that put together with Rob, why don't you turn that loose to the board, get it out circulated? I mean, we won't ask for approval, we'll wait until next meeting, but get it out so everybody can start looking at it, kicking it around if there's something else or something somebody didn't think about. get it out to the board as soon as you can.
As soon as we get those,
Give us what numbers left in there, what you're asking for. We can see the difference there, and then like I said, everybody can kick it around.
okay.
Sounds good.
Anything else? Anybody got any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Before I go to public, does the board have any other business in front of us today? Board members? Everybody, I think, in the audience but one has spoken. Doesn't look like she's gonna jump. Seeing that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Have a first and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you all.
You didn't talk.